Buildings of Refuge is out today, and I wanted to briefly introduce its content. So the book, it's a chronicle of the so-called European migration crisis, a chronicle that is based on a cartoethnography of asylum seekers' accommodation facilities in a central Italian province. The book shows how various hotels, schools, rural houses, and apartments in this province were occupied by the EU border machine and were transformed into carceral facilities where migrants are forced to wait. But the book also shows how these buildings are not only sites of confinements, but also situated markers of social landscape that have been part of the province in some cases for centuries. They are places of dwelling where life-making projects are pursued by migrants and non-migrants alike, and more. So in the book, these buildings become protagonists of a different kind of chronicle, one where the border and its crises are not all-powerful, but are constantly reworked, refracted, deflected through the places and lives that they themselves seek to shape. I think there are perhaps 3 reasons you may want to read the book, in fact, that you should read the book. The first reason is that this is one of the very few ethnographic accounts of the EU border and its crisis. So if you want to understand how the border machine ingrains itself across localities, how it spreads like a cancer throughout society, taking advantage of inequalities, reproducing inequalities, and in so doing reproducing itself, I think this is the book for you. Second, in more academic terms, the book studies the coloniality of asylum, border logistification, and the autonomy of migration from what I called the standpoint of place. This is an epistemological approach that explores how processes of border crossing and border reinforcement are already deeply entangled and articulated with processes of production and construction of place. Through this approach, I seek to capture both how coloniality, logistics, and autonomy seek to transform places in their own image, but also how varied place-making practices and projects unevenly realize and rework these forces. So if you're interested in novel approaches to studying borders and migration, perhaps this is also the book for you. Third reason, the book challenges us to see the border not as something that exists out there at the edge of Europe or in the English Channel or in Libyan detention center. It is there, but it is also something that takes root in everyday life. So if you're committed to abolitionist politics, and if you want to fight against the rise of the far right here in Europe, this book asks you to take place seriously, not just as a context where various dynamics unfold, but really as a battleground. And primarily because the far right has been extremely successful in doing so and mobilizing around local grievances. We should do the same, but only better and through concepts such as that of solidarity. So read the book, buy the book, ask for a free copy of the book so that you can make a book review or for an inspection copies, and let's continue the conversation.